questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch along, still the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football, and this is a show that we do not want to be doing right now, but we're going to have to do it anyway. This is the Arsenal match reaction to our 5-0 loss to them at the Emirates. Me and Chairman were there yesterday, but, you know, we want to hear from you guys today. This is a show about hearing what you guys had to say. We've already had our say. Nicky will have his say as well, but this show is mainly about you guys today. So... yeah, let's see what happens, really. Nicky, how's it going, mate?
I am so very glad I watched the game, and then I went out, just to go get rid of all that result, and then was playing football with my mates, and I've ended up busting my leg. So it's not been a good weekend for me. But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the fans, the viewers have to say, because I think we're all going to be galvanized. We're all going to be saying the exact same things. But yesterday was just utterly hopeless. But yeah, let's open the phone lines up. Let's get
So the link is in the chat. So if you're on Facebook, you can click in there and enter the studio. You can jump in that way. Also, the same thing has been done on YouTube as well. Chairman, how's it going?
Well, I've seen us get bashed up before plenty of times, and it probably will happen again. But I suppose thinking about it, a bit of solace is that some of the times a good kicking is exactly what you need. I.e., Wigan beating us 5-0 got Steve Kemper the sack. When we went up originally in 89, and we had a crap defence, and everyone could see it except for Steve Coppell, and we got beaten 9-0 by Liverpool. He bought 2 centre halves and the goalkeeper, and next year we finished third. So I just hope that the hierarchy take the heed and the warning that we are sleepwalking to relegation if we don't change the tide.
Mm-hmm. Do you think anything will happen? Because I feel like it will take I feel it will take the Sheffield game before anything happens, if I'm really honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. I cannot see him, because it will go all the way against his master plan. It'd have to be something really drastic to sack Hodgson, and I think he won't do nothing before Sheffield, definitely. But we have got Sheffield, Luton, and Burnley still to come to Palace, haven't we? And I'm pretty sure that if we lose to Sheffield, and it's pretty bad. And to be fair, today they played very well against West Ham.
Yeah.
They got a last-minute penalty, but they deserved the draw. I think he'll have to pull the trigger. I think he'll have to do it. I can't see him not doing it.
All right, we've already got a few people coming in, so let's go through them one by one. Stan, how's it going?
How you doing, lads? You all right?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the game, really? Like, what's up? Talk to us.
Thoughts on the game? I don't think it's that one Arsenal game that it's not the straw that broke the camel's back. Do you know what I mean? Like it's been like I saw you guys at Fulham at home. Came back to the game. I could feel it then. I could feel the malaise that this football club is setting in on and off the pitch. The last game I was back before that was when Vieira was in charge. We drew 0-0 at home to Leeds on a Monday night. And you could feel the atmosphere, man. You could feel the hope in the ground. You could see that like the fans actually like had hope, and they had what's it called? Like they were sort of like under the impression something good was happening and we're going to progress. It's not just been this season that it's gone downhill. Not backing him in his second summer transfer window is when this began, when it set in. And there you go. Like, okay, he got the bullet because his tactics were a bit crazy, but again, he wasn't backed. He wasn't backed in January to the extent that he should have been, and we went backwards. We brought Roy back, and we haven't moved forward since. Really, I mean, 10 games. We played quite a few teams off the park. I'll give him that, but we haven't moved forward since. And the summer window, they say there's no money. I mean, they spent 20 million quid on Henderson, who, I'm sorry, I might get slated for this on here, but he's in the Wayne Hennessy camp of goalies coming off his line. He is terrible. He's a good shot stopper. That is it. He's skin and bone, to be honest with you. He's got no strength about him. He doesn't command his area. He's absolutely appalling. And then they spent money on França, and they don't even play him. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, lads. You tell me.
I agree. I feel like it was the Fulham 0-0 and probably the Forest 0-0 as well. Those were probably some pretty telling signs quite early on, because both games were pretty carbon copy of each other. Both teams were just dreadful. And look, genuinely, I reckon if those games are still played now, still no teams would have scored. There was that little effort from the team in those games.
Yeah.
And it all stems from the top, really.
It does. I woke up this morning. I've woken up a couple of mornings, actually, wondering, what is Steve Parish doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is Roy Hodgson still in a job this morning? I'd have gone down to the changing room at the end of the game and I'd have said, Roy, how do you do your press? I'll call you tomorrow. And that would have been it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, big up to the HF for that banner. But too little, too late. It's too late. That banner should have been 6-8 weeks ago. Well, I say one thing. If they've turned against him, he's in big trouble, because they were in his pocket and he's in big, big, big trouble.
Mm-hmm. Nicky, what do you think about what Stan said there?
I think Stan is spot on. Henderson coming off of his line, it keeps happening. It keeps happening, and he did it at the Brighton game, and he very nearly conceded a goal from the corner flag. He's trying to play the sweeper keeper system that it isn't quite working for him, because he's getting found out. Thank goodness we've got our defense there, who can help out there. But yeah, I am surprised that Hodgson today still has his job. I think it's a fact that we will see. I know even Rich is surprised. And Rich said it in the post-match vlog that you guys did, that's on the channel, that Hodgson should not be in the job today. I've literally just been on Twitter just to have a look at the odds. He's 2-7 to get sacked. He's the next most likely sacking of a Premier League manager. The banner, as JC said in the match vlog, needs to be at every single game. Every single game. The only positive that Crystal Palace can have as a football club is that the women's side won today in very dominant fashion. That's the only positive about being associated with Crystal Palace today. And that is it.
So we've got a fair few people in the back room, so I feel like the best thing to do is just put everyone in and just have a big discussion. So big up Alex, big up Tristan,
What's going on,
big
man?
up Sean. We can actually see you today, which is a difference. Big up yourself. Big up John Cena. We can actually see you as well today. And finally, big up Tim.
Oh, what's going on, Tim? You all right, mate?
Doing all right, man.
Like
not great from not great from yesterday, but yeah, I'm here for the rants.
So I think what we'll do is everyone will just give their opinion on certain topics. So I think the biggest one to start on is definitely that banner. Sean, have you seen the banner? And if you have, what's your immediate thoughts on it?
I can congratulate the fans for this once, because we actually take action instead of talk. Yeah. I kind of feel sorry for the guy. I'll be honest. Okay, I really do feel sorry for him. But Steve Parish have to pull the trigger. He has to pull the trigger because we need something. The players need something different. You can see that they're losing all faith in the manager, in the board. Poor Franz, he needs some game time. And Roy, we all know Roy don't play kids. I don't know what's wrong, but I just can't do this anymore, bro. I'm at work and my friends are laughing at me, man. Like, laughing, bro. You know what Jamaican guys can be.
But yeah, it. To be fair, we don't really help ourselves, and I know that the fanatics have they finally spoken out, but I think Stan's right. I feel like they should have made that a little bit clearer a little bit earlier. Because, for example, I know Richard said he knew that something had to change since the Luton game, for example. Stan said potentially even earlier.
100%.
I feel like they may, like, because Rich went up and spoke to them and thanked them for making like actually doing something about it. But I still feel like maybe it was a little bit too late. Tristan, what do you think?
Yeah, first and foremost, for myself, credit to the HF, not just putting up the banner, but, for making it very clear to the board members in Texter and Parish and Dougie Freeman, who were there at the match as well, what the current situation is, within the club, because it's not good enough from top to bottom. It's an absolute mess and it's an absolute disgrace. And what's been going on over the last few months has been hideous. So I'm happy that the HF have come forward and put that banner out, made it visible, made it really stand out. The cameras literally turned onto it. It was all over social media. Once again, for people who have been posting it and retweeting it, keep it up, because we need to get this message clear across to our entire fan base and across all borders within the club and that. Yeah, one thing I would say, it's a bit too late. They should have addressed it. They've had plenty of chances, plenty of weeks to address it and, to put banners up. They probably should have done it like over a month ago, at the beginning of December when we were playing the likes of Bournemouth, because that's how long this crap's been going on for. That's how long this patheticness has been, happening at this club. And that, to be fair, I think, it's good that it's happened now, but it's a bit too late. But at the same time, it's good that it looks like Parish definitely will take notice of it massively, because obviously, he was at the game, and I literally hope we take action and sort this crap out between now and the end of Jan. We need to sign players somehow. We need to get a new manager in, someone that's going to inspire and lift the players up. I've said so much. I get fed up of repeating myself, to be fair, about the whole current status of this club, but if you want my view on the banner, and everything, I'm happy that they finally, gotten it over and done with and put it out there, because it's definitely a trend regarding football and that, and regarding, the Premier League, because it's all over now. So, yeah, I'm happy that it's been put up and that.
Sorry, Tristan, to interrupt. I'll just give you, just to make a point.
Yeah.
I have it on very, very good information that he is reluctant to make a change. And I heard that this morning. He's reluctant
I'm not
to make a change.
surprised. Yeah.
You see, I mean, he's taking the piss, isn't he? I mean, this is just the same problem we've been having for the last month. Like, it's a disgrace, man. Like, losing 5-0 to Arsenal, losing 5-0 to any side in this league or football in general is a disgrace. I mean, what does it take for us to lose to Brighton? Do you know what I mean? I don't understand why he's in the job. He should have been sacked after the Bournemouth defeat. It's like, what, 1 win in 12 now. Since the beginning of November, it's 2 wins in 15, and across the whole season, it's 6 wins out of 26 matches. That isn't the next level. That is going steps backwards down the pecking order, and we're literally walking into the Championship. We are literally walking right down into the shit, basically, and that. I mean, the club I love is simply gone. I hate everything about the club right now. I hate it, and I'm saying that as a passionate, diehard Palace fan myself. I'm sick and tired of it, man. When is it ever going to change? When are we going to see a bright light at the end of the tunnel, like I've been saying over the last few weeks? The season's been beyond the joke. It's been embarrassing. It's been deflating and horrific to watch. It's just been woeful. It's just been negativity week in, week out, for all the right reasons, and rightly so. We have the right to voice our opinion and say how it is. You know what I mean? Because the style of football is just putrid. It stinks, man. It absolutely stinks. Right. There's no urgency, there's no sharpness, there's no rhythm or dynamicness in our play, no identity at all. I mean, I saw that lineup against Arsenal. It's insulting. I generally think Roy Hodgson deliberately wants to get deliberately wanted to get the sack. I generally think he did. He clearly look at his body language. The fact he never even came over to thank the fans. He doesn't give a damn. You know, no wonder we're the biggest laughing stock in football in English football, and you know, it's embarrassing. It's painful. I think as a team we're naive, we're spineless, we're gutless, and it showed yesterday. You know, when that second goal went in, it was game over. Then they scored a third. You know, we can't score from corners. Then they go right down the other end and kill the game off. And then they added 6 minutes on, and I was like, oh no, ref, just blow up. And what happens? They don't just score one. They don't just score two. So they do. So they score one, they score two, and they make it 5-0. So that's what I meant. They made it 5-0. And I think what upset me and what peed me off even more was the players just gave up. They gave up. Their heads dropped. They ain't playing for themselves. They ain't playing for the manager. They're not playing for the fans. And that's what really gets me. They just gave up. They just literally lost the plot. You know, they clearly don't want to play for Roy no more. And how people are flirting around rumors saying that the players are dedicated to play for Roy Hodgson is an absolute load of fucking bullshit. It's as simple as that. It don't make sense because they clearly don't care anymore, and they've got no respect for the fans. I mean, I was standing over near the front, and Mateta and Anderson had the cheek to come over, and we're just doing this towards us fans, and we're muttering and gesturing towards us. It's embarrassing, man.
Wouldn't you say that's more frustration from the players?
Potentially, yeah, I get they're frustrated, but you know, do what Eze did when he came over, put his hands up high. It wasn't his fault. Eze was our best player. Lerma, he came over and cut the fans, and he sort of apologized as well. Don't take it out on us supporters and start moaning and gesturing towards us, because I find it disrespectful. In my opinion, I find it disrespectful, especially after losing 5-0 and playing in the manner we did. Sitting back for the whole flipping game and conceding them 2 goals in the first half in the manner we did. Schoolboy stuff. And that's how you know the players don't care anymore. They'll say they care behind the scenes and they'll waffle a load of bollocks towards the press. They don't give a damn, do they? They don't care. But it's not all the players' fault. It's not Roy's entire fault. This is behind the scenes. It's the boardroom. Steve Parish, Texter. You know, they all sort of see it as a business, screwing around. They're putting all that money in for the stand, and we've got no money to spend on on January players for this January window. We have no money whatsoever, and that's because we put it all into the stands. We spent it all on the academy, and it's not paying off one bit. We're absolutely screwed, and I really don't know where. I don't know where we're gonna go from now. We can't even attract players for 5 mil, 10 mil. We were negotiating for a couple players who cost around 10 mil. I mean, come on, it's an absolute joke. I look at other teams around us growing and that Sheffield United showing fight. I mean, they got that Diaz guy on loan from Villarreal, something like that. You know, they got a striker in who's clinical, who's ruthless enough. Look at Luton Town. Not talking about the players they signed this January window, but they show fight and determination. You know, I think we're generally one of the worst sides in the Premier League between us and Burnley, and I'd say Sheffield United, because they can't win for Toffees, and neither can we. You know, I'm just fed up.
Though, Tristan. You think
What's
we
that,
can
mate?
beat
Sorry?
Sheffield? You think that we can beat Sheffield?
Wouldn't surprise me if we lose that game. I'm not even kidding. It wouldn't surprise me if we lose that game. That's how much I've lost confidence. The players are lacking in confidence. They don't care. They've given up. And our supporters, by the looks of it, why should we have confidence in a team that just throws it all away, that just doesn't step on the pitch with any passion, any desire? What are they going to do against Sheffield United? I watched the way Sheffield United played today, and they should have won. They were the better team against West Ham. And if they play like that against us, they'll beat us because we're lacking confidence. And our heads from the players on the pitch, it's just not there. And we're on a downward spiral. Sheffield United have a bit of momentum and motivation. We ain't got nothing. We got absolutely nothing. It's as simple as that, man. I'm sick to death of everything, mate. Honestly, I don't know about you lot, but it's just gotten to the point where I'm just speechless, and at the same time, I'm just deflated and just fed up of watching this crap every week. Honest to God, seriously.
Yeah, Luke, you reached out to us to say that you definitely wanted to come on and have a say.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you wanted to talk about when giving your opinion on the game or on Hodgson in general?
Well, I want Hodgson gone, and feel like we need a complete reset at the club. I don't know whether that's with Parish or with Texter or with the Americans. There's like literally 3 people in charge, not getting along with each other, and they're disconnected with the club at the moment. The players, they're trying, but not trying hard enough. We need a few. We need a few this summer. Like, let me think. A manager.
Look, sorry to cut you. Just 2 things very quickly. One, Genk have turned down an offer from Palace for Daniel Muniz. They want 10 million euros. We've not reached that offer yet, which is pretty much £8 million.
£8 million.
Yeah,
disgraceful.
we've not offered that. Secondly, what I'm gonna drop out because I think there's other people once again, and I think it's more about what you lot say. You know, I think JC the same with you if you want to drop out. It's about you lot's voice. We spoke yesterday. You know what I mean? We reviewed the options yesterday. So I'm gonna dip out, guys. If you're in the chat, I know there's a sign come up saying the studio's full, so I'm gonna leave for you lot to jump on and have your say. But big up everyone, and if it gets free up again later, I'll jump back in. Big up.
Cool.
Thanks, Rich.
Big up, Rich.
Cool. So there is one more spot in here if you guys want to jump in, and then if it gets full again, then we're gonna have to. I guess we're gonna have to unfortunately try and rotating some people around to get everyone's voice into the show. But Luke, sorry, what was you saying again?
So there's a few things that we need. We need a manager to win, and I mean mentality-wise, win. I mean, Mourinho's way out of our reach, but we need that sort of mentality at our football club, right? A manager who wants to win. Secondly, we might need to sell. I mean, sell a few players to get some money in. Like, maybe we might need to sell Elise. So that's one. And maybe one of our centre-backs. Well, that's going to get us around 150 mil. I don't know. Something like that. And then we need new ownership, right? We've been banging on for so many months. We need new ownership. It depends on the structure of the deal, and it also depends on who wants to take on Crystal Palace. Who wants it? Right? Who wants it? Who's out there? Like, it might be a rich person who's out there who can take on Crystal Palace. But that's all I have to say at the moment.
So Luke, sorry to just quickly to your response with regards to ownership. I'm sure, like you guys all know, and Tim, maybe you can step into this, but there is a capital call ongoing at the club at the moment for funds for the stadium. This is actually an opportunity for somebody to buy out some of the lesser shareholders and potentially increase their stake even further in Palace to a point where it's controlling. It's an opportunity. Whether
Are you saying that potentially that would mean that, for example, if Texter wanted to buy out some more people, he could get a majority shareholder?
I'm saying if he's serious, now's the time to do it.
Should we just define what we mean by a capital call? Just so we're clear on what that means. So what a capital call means in this particular case is all of the major shareholders have signed up and said that as a shareholder of Crystal Palace, I have an obligation when capital is called for. I have preemptively agreed to pay money to the club for this particular project. In this case, the main stand. That's what it is. So now, in order to fund the main stand, that's what Stan's talking about here. There's this capital call for money that is to come in to pay for that. In addition, I think the last time I looked at it, there is at least mortgage papers that are being filed by the club for the main stand. But Stan's overall point is a really good one. Like right now, the club is looking for money. Club's looking for money. So if there was a moment when you'd have maybe some discussions about whether or not somebody was going to come in and take the club and make a bid, now would be so that point is spot on, Stan. But it's a little bit distinct from exactly what we're saying with a capital call. But what we do know is like club's looking for cash. So if there was a moment, and I want Luke to be able to finish here, but that's just so we're clear on what is actually happening. That's what's happening at the moment. So it's a really good point. Like if there was a moment, this is the moment.
Sorry. I think what else we need to do is look. I mean, we keep saying look at Brighton. We have our own academy. Like we us as fans, us as Crystal Palace fans as well. We relish academy boys in our starting 11. Like we need to get those academy boys into the starting 11. And I mean, I'm talking the likes of Ozo, Raksaki. Get them in. I don't care. Literally.
Yeah, like constantly and that. Yeah, I get you.
Look at Brighton have got like 5 or 6 academy players starting for them already in their 11. Like, come on, man. Brentford's got 5 or 6 starting in their 11.
That's definitely something from the manager because it is historically happened with Hodgson. Granted, certain youth players have broken into the team, but that's because there was no other option at all. Wan-Bissaka only broke into the team because Kelly and Ward were both injured at the same time. Mm-hmm. Mitchell only broke into the team because Van Arnold and Schlapp were both injured at the same time, and Pap Soare. We don't try and put young players in there unless there's an absolute need. What's up, Alex?
I'm just I want to point out too that Vieira never did that too. His 2 years, nobody broke in from the academy then either.
He gave a few debuts.
He gave Desiree Saki a few games, and he didn't have to.
And he gave Ozo his debut as well.
Adaramola too, don't forget.
I was going to say, he gave Peo a debut.
Yeah, that was a really good move. Yeah, so, like, it's not that easy to do exactly what Brighton's doing is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but I would also say that Vieira wasn't the perfect manager, and that's why he got sacked as well.
I know.
Like, we had 3 games without even a shot on target. Granted, this run that we've had now is dreadful, and the football we're playing now is dreadful, but we're still having shots on target. We're still scoring goals here and there. Under Vieira, we weren't doing that whatsoever, and Vieira didn't have the injuries that Hodgson has now. Yeah. And also, Vieira made me fully believe that Eze was finished, and clearly he's not.
There is another issue as it relates to the academy as well. Just something that I think it's easy to overlook. So I'll just make this point super fast. The football that we play in the first team looks nothing like the football we play at under 21, which looks nothing like the football that we play at under 18.
Yeah.
They are not even remotely resembling each other.
Yeah.
Right? That's an issue.
Compete with League One.
Yeah, and the biggest teams in the country, like Man City, they have the same playing style from the youth straight into the first team. It's the exact same way. However, Hodgson plays rubbish, and that's where it makes me a bit confused with Paddy McCarthy, because when he was the under-23s manager, he was playing that lovely, free-flowing style of football, but now he's gone here. Do you think that he's just not got no say whatsoever when it comes to managing with Roy Hodgson?
I completely agree.
What is his job actually in the first team? What does he do? Is he just sort of there to make up the numbers? His opinion's not heard?
I'd like to answer that one. I reckon McCarthy's been put in there. Ray's been like dropped down to like a coach level. This appointment of Paddy to assistant manager clearly screams of you are Roy's understudy. Watch him, learn from him. That came from the very, very top. That was not a Roy Hodgson appointment, I think.
Luke, thank you for jumping on, mate.
Yep.
Pleasure.
And this is the issue, is that, like, as we all just said, the football that is played on the youth levels is not the same up on the first team. That's a huge, huge issue. With the youth, no player, save Michael Elise, has started at his age, so I believe that's around about 22. No player, 22 or below, with the exception of Michael Elise, has started a Roy Hodgson Premier League game this season. With the injuries that we've got, with the issues that we've got, we're playing Will Hughes in the 10. We're playing Jeff Schlupp. We're playing Chris Richards. I'm not gonna lie. After yesterday's performance, Richards does not get even into the under-23 team.
He was awful.
He was
Pathetic.
awful. Yeah.
Terrible,
He was
man.
awful
Poor
yesterday,
marking.
but I will not knock him for any of the games before the second effort in game.
I think,
sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
I
agree
think,
with
Alex, I agree with you there, because I think he's been playing DM all the games he's played, and they
and
suddenly
he's been improving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been getting better, and then all of a suddenly, like, the old guy has a brainwave, and he's starting with a back three and playing Klein and Mitchell as
Brainwave is
wingbacks.
IU's gone. That's what it is. And Elise is gone. Wow.
Yeah.
Brainwave.
I want to go back to Nicky's point about the academy. So I remember coming back to the UK a couple of years ago when it first opened, and I remember going past it on the train from London Bridge and going, bloody hell, what a facility. It is a world-class facility. And they are about to open a state-of-the-art rehab centre in that facility as well, like for players can rehab from injuries easier, etc., etc. Honestly, the way that we're going, that will be overgrown and derelict in about 2 years when we're in League One, because the club won't have the money to put water in the rehab pool. I'm being deadly serious. That's the way this club is going.
I agree with you, Stan.
Just to your point, then, are they going to call it the Nathan Ferguson ward?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, man.
That's a low blow there. Can't lie to you.
Wow. Going
Cody,
high and inside.
Cody, I see you agreeing with a lot of the points that made about the youth academy. What's your thoughts on all of this stuff?
Yeah, like the youth academy, man, it's like we have it there for a reason. We're not using it. We got so many good youth players. I've been watching the under 21 league games and everything. We have some ballers in that youth academy that we're just not using. I don't know if it comes down to the board deciding not to use them, or if it's just Roy being stubborn and not using the youth. I mean, we can obviously see that from a week-to-week basis, but there's too much talent.
I feel that Paddy wants to play the youth. I feel like Paddy wants to play France. He wants to play David Ozo. He wants to play them because the pattern of play. He was the first team manager for the under 21s, right? Yeah. And they were phenomenal under him. So he wants to play his football.
But he only had under 21s to play. He didn't have senior players, so he could be just like somebody like Roy. Is the point? You only get the under 21s when you're the under 21 coach. So we don't know.
But he was brilliant.
I liked the way
he had one. I think he was one. I think that under 23s team that he had the year before he went into the first team. I'm sure that they were challenging for the title for most of the season.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sure that they were one of the top scoring teams in the whole Premier League too, as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And they were at Europe.
I think they were second. I think they
were
second.
Yeah. Was it the final or the semi-final they got to?
It was the final of the Premier League International Cup, of which we went to. I want about the youth now. Let me play devil's advocate here. Right, let's address Roy Hodgson's comments because that's a huge thing.
Don't even get me.
His comments about the youth, right? Let's play devil's advocate. Yeah. So he's bringing on we're all screaming for the youth to come on, and I've been looking at it and looking at it. He has no choice but to bring on the youth, and he's then said, what else am I supposed to do? If you read between the lines, he's pretty much saying, what else am I supposed to do except put these guys on? Obviously, they can't go up against a fully fledged, fully fit Arsenal squad that's now challenging for the title.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they have not got the experience to do, to turn around what at the time was a 3-goal deficit. Unfortunately, it's needs must, but then you can't then lay the blame at their feet. You can't then turn around and be like, oh, yeah, well, they haven't got the experience. Well, unfortunately, because of the lack of investment, because of the lack of influx of players, lo and behold, we are forced to play the youth. And now here's where we are. So my question to you guys is, what would you do better?
Well, look at Nicky. Look at how we played against City. when David Ozo came on and Franza came on, and he
Yeah.
done Walker like he was nothing. Wilf couldn't do that. Wilf, our number one player, could not have done that against Walker. Come on, you got to give the kids a chance, man.
Yeah, yeah, the kids deserve it, man. I mean, they work hard enough in training, and Franza, the times he has been in the game, has proven himself that he can be lethal for us. But it's just the fact of, you know, Roy's got his own favorites like Schlupp, Hughes, and all them. Like because of that, we're not getting these players experience.
I agree to a point with you guys, but we will always, as fans, and this is just the way it is, absence does make the heart grow fonder. Like, for instance, we were all pining for Hughes last year. We were all pining for Richards this year. They come in, and now we have things to judge them on. I really want to see Franza, and I really want to see those players, and it's unacceptable the way it's been. But if you're going to point out one game with Man City, you're going to point out the other games where they're learning on the job. And so, for instance, I thought Ozo was okay in Brighton, but I wouldn't say he changed the game. So the thing that I was thinking when it comes to playing the youth is he played Nairu Ahamada at the right wing back, and to be honest, that's the type of thing that, like, you know, Bournemouth did that with Django Otera. Like, you can do that, but I don't think that we're training him to be a right wing back. And so the 2 goals that we gave up yesterday are entirely on his positioning.
I would disagree. I would say it's Tompkins.
Yeah, Tompkins was rubbish.
It was Tompkins. Tompkins was
Absolute.
playing right
last
back.
goals,
Equally
poor,
him, but
all over the spot.
But he's not even there. Whereas Tompkins just gets beat. I was talking about the positioning, I guess.
At that point in the game,
35, he's past it. I don't know what.
At that point in the game, we swapped to a four at the back.
Yeah, I know.
And Ahamada was sort of playing right midfield. He wasn't playing as a wing back at that point. Tompkins was playing as a right back at that point, but he's too old, too slow, and he was just a bit confused. Really, he's too used to being a centre back, so he was too tucked in, and he didn't do what a normal fullback would do. He'd go and push him out, but he just let Martinelli run, expecting there to be a fullback there. But guess what? He's the fullback. But Hodgson's quotes, even though I think it's definitely Tompkins' fault there. Hodgson's quote says, "For the young ones, it's very difficult, and it led to 2 more goals." Tim, what is his obsession with blaming?
What a dickhead
Tim,
comment that is.
You can't blame the young for that.
Tim, what is his obsession with blaming the young players, even though it wasn't their fault?
There's a lot of people named Tim on this.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Tristan's called Tim. Alice called Tim.
No,
My dad's called Tim. I'm Tristan, mate. Oh, good.
I don't know what the issue is here, but I think 2 things can be true. Like, so I'm going to combine this with Nikki's question, which is, what would I do? I agree. So Mitch was saying some stuff in the chat about, like, it depending on the size of your club, that, you know, if you're big and you have resources, maybe you can play the same style all the way through, but you have to be open to mixing things up depending upon the size of club you are. I think that's fair, but I also think 2 things can be true. So I don't know what the issue is, JC, but if you were going to do it, if you were going to introduce some youth slowly, strategically, you could do that. You could start with, let's say you wanted to go slow. I mean, this is one thing that I do think Vieira did well when he was trying to get Michael Elise to a more elite level. You remember he started with a few minutes, and then he started with progressively more minutes, and then more minutes, and he plateaued up until he got him to the 90. Like, you can do that.
Newcastle.
Like with Franza, you could absolutely do that. With Ahamada, you could absolutely do that. You want to start with 10, then go to 20, and then if you see some glimmers, maybe you go to a half, and then maybe you go to 60. You don't have to do it all at once. The weird thing for me, JC, is it feels very black and white, all or nothing, and that is the thing I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's the same thing
You
with
even
Elise.
saw that with you even saw it with
Elise
Vieira
this
towards
year.
the end.
Yeah.
didn't you? You saw it with Vieira towards the end. Even with Ahamada, that's only been there from January until when he got sacked, he was already doing a 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here. Because I remember, I know he missed a chance when he at Liverpool, I believe it was Liverpool away. He had a chance at the end of the game to equalise, and he scuffed it wide. But I still remember that Vieira still subbed on him and Lokonga towards the end of the game to try and get something out of it.
Right.
Whereas Hodgson, with the mentality that he has, he would have subbed on Hughes to protect the 1-0 loss, to protect the goal difference.
It's
and
a
he
little,
done this, yeah.
It's a little odd. I'll tell you so if I could just super quickly, this sums up the match yesterday for me. And Alex will probably, and Cody might remember on the US feed. Do you guys remember this? Like on the US feed, it would be funny if it weren't so effing sad. At the end of the match, do you remember what I'm talking about? So Ahamada is making he's going down the channel. He's making the run. And Andy freaking Townsend does he goes full Ray Lewington. And he goes, "Go on, son, because we've done nothing up to that point." It was comical in the saddest possible way.
Tim, the club's a comedy right now. The club is it's a genuine comedy with the way everything is. Now that you say that.
You know what I will say though, Ahamada, I know exactly what you're talking about, like what move you're talking about, but that was one of the few times that someone actually took us up the field.
Right.
Yeah.
We could have done something.
That was the whole point of Townsend's comments. Dan.
Imagine if Ahamada was starting from the beginning. Because one thing I like about him, he drives through, man. He runs through.
Yeah,
he's positive going forward.
So
and then you're playing Hughes in camp.
And we saw it in pre-season as well.
Exactly.
If you want to
We
go back
seen it last
that far.
season and that as well. Like when he played against Brighton last season, against
Cody.
Brentford. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask somebody a question here. So, since where we're at on the table and the state of where we're at right now, I've had this question asked to me by a few people. If we are where we're at now, and what would make you happier? Would you rather have Roy keep the squad that we've been playing, that we've been losing with and everything else, or would you take the chance on letting the young guys start and play through the game at this point and take the risk?
There's the middle ground.
Yeah,
I'll let the young guys start.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, well,
I think there's a middle ground, guys.
Yeah, there's definitely a middle ground. I feel like the games to throw him in and start was the cup games, but he tried it in the first cup game, and for some reason, França, Ahamada, all absent in the return fixture in the cup. That early in the cup is a time you trial the younger players. You trial all the players that need to break into the squad. That's where you give them their chance. And in my opinion, I think França took his chance. And it still doesn't explain why he didn't play or even start in a return fixture.
Listen, he took his chance against Man City. Did you see him against Man City? He was spraying balls across the field.
I would even say that even when he came on against Newcastle, that he looks more than good enough to me.
He can deliver a ball. He can take a set piece. We haven't scored from a set piece all season, etc., etc. Like,
Chairman, how much is it? You said 92 corners, and we have
92 corners.
Yeah, yesterday, up until yesterday, we had 92 corners without scoring. Yeah,
we scored on the other side of the field, though.
My biggest worry here is okay. So, like, say hypothetically, we lose to Sheffield United. He sacks Roy. He'll probably bring in Steve Cooper, who's on my list. He's about choice number 5, but I would back him. I give him support. I back him, whatever.
Yeah, so man.
And say
it'd be too late to back him. The transfer window would have been closed by them.
I know, but I would give him my support. Is what I'm saying. The fans would support him. I would imagine.
I'm still going with Paddy McCarthy. I'm being honest.
Paddy McCarthy, who's married. Paddy McCarthy has managed 2 senior games of senior football in his life, and he's lost 4-0, 4-1.
You got to give the guy. And you got
No. If you put McCarthy in charge, we're going to get relegated. He's got no experience as a Premier League manager. He may have it in the academy, but this Premier League is a different level.
If
He's
Paddy
got-
McCarthy
he'll
wants a chance, he
capitulate.
can go and manage Bromley FC or Sutton United or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Also, Paddy
Start from the
McCarthy's
bottom.
got no pull for Premier League players. Who's going to want to play for Paddy McCarthy, really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Youngsters.
By some miracle, if Cooper keeps us up, it's the same rinse and repeat in the summer. I'll tell you what could happen is they could sell Elise and maybe one or two others, and they probably not replace them adequately. Because they didn't replace Wan-Bissaka, they haven't replaced
Yeah.
Zaha,
Mm.
right?
Massively.
You know, so there's and all the time, Roy
Mm.
4 million a season, Parish what 2 or 3 million a season he's paid. He pays himself.
Little under that, 1.8.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
But,
1.8 million a season.
It's a lot.
Whatever it is.
It's a lot,
most
but
expensive
it's
pyramid. Yes.
he's you made this point before, Stan. He's 8th in the table, so you could argue that. I'm not going to argue that he's underpaid or overpaid. It is a lot. And I think you bring up the most important point, Stan. Like, if from a financial perspective, and I'll just leave this here and let go back to it. But the thing that we've not proven, we've sold players rarely, but when we have done the job of selling players for big fees. We just haven't done it very much. But the thing we've never proven,
Not in the last 4 years, yeah.
not in the last 4 years, and to Stan's point, what we've never proven, at least up to this point, is if you're going to sell a big player and get big money, how have you replaced that big player? That has not happened. That's not happened once. So that is a huge issue, and you're right to bring it up, Stan.
Yeah.
I think that it's the lack of transparency from this club as well. Like, if we're taking the team to the next level, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then you're like the people are surprised when people like close to the club, or are surprised when people get on the club's back, the chairman's back, etc. Like, just come out and be honest. Like, if you just want to fight relegation this season, just say we're fighting relegation. We've got a long-term plan. This is what we're doing, etc. Don't be giving me no next level top 10. Do you know what I mean?
This is the point that with all the people I work with, and for all the time that I've been saying Hodgson out, and this, you can see this happens across all the social media, is that like we've been calling for Hodgson out, and then our bounce back from other groups, from other teams is, oh yeah, but you're playing Premier League football for the last 10 years. Yeah, but you're steady, you're staying up, you're mainstays. But the problem is that there's only so many times that we can just stay up.
Yeah, I'm never having that, Nikki, from any top 6 fan who says that. It makes me furious.
It does.
Yeah.
It really sends me off because there is no ceiling. This talk of there is a ceiling for Crystal Palace. There is no ceiling for a football club. We have seen it in reality. Luton, non-league, Premier League. No matter how much you want to say the money affected them, Man City, League 2 to the best team in the world. There is no ceiling for a football club. Crystal Palace are the only team in the City of London that have never seen a UEFA competition, which is astounding.
Yeah.
We've got one of the biggest catchment areas in the city, and yet nothing is ever done. We've got a stand that's probably going to be a poison chalice for us. Will it be built? Won't it be built? All this ret-a-tat. You've got a chairman who is hanging on to his 10% like a baby hangs on to a bottle, and yet he votes against the aims of the newest investor. You can't help but just laugh.
And Nicky, to top it all off, he's going on podcasts with his buddies Gary Lineker and Jake Humphrey and whoever else he goes on with, and he's gaslighting fans. He's saying he's making it out that it's a tiny majority that have only been fans for a few years. Like, he's so far removed from reality that it's just it's insane. It's insane. And then and people wonder why these banners are coming up and people have had enough. Well,
Unfortunately, now, as you said there, Stan, the banner is out. We all saw it. It's across social media. And again, it should be retweeted. It should be shared across social media until something is changed. I will say this. I will just going back to the match itself. I've already got a spoiler for you for the Premier League review show on Tuesday. The Met Police Gold Commander, yeah? You're brick of the week. You're scared of a drum? Oh, no, we can't have a drum at the Emirates. You can't have atmosphere at the Emirates. No, let's take away the drum.
To look at it, yeah.
I think, Nicky, they're missing the point of we saw the drum, and it wasn't even, it was like the size of a saucepan. It was like a kid's drum. Yeah, it wasn't even like a big 3-foot drum. It was a small. It was ridiculous.
It was genuinely about the size of a tambourine. It was that.
They nicked it off a kid's drum.
Yeah.
From my understanding of the hierarchy of the Met Police, you're assigning a gold level commander to an Arsenal Palace game. If this was Millwall Palace, yeah. If this was
can I
Palace,
just say that you say if they're the top ranked officers, yeah, they are pony because they were dreadful. They could. Can I tell you this?
Yeah.
They got the drum. The fanatics didn't want to give the drum, so one of the police officers sat on the drum so they couldn't pick it up. How much of a joke is that?
It was pathetic, wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
it's just pathetic. And if
Are
you
you a
vlog,
6-year-old? Come on.
Yeah.
The gold
If you
commander,
see the vlog, even chairman's going after him.
I know. Whoever the gold commander is, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm sure you do your job pretty well, mate. But honestly,
You got bigger things to fry, man.
exactly.
There's bigger things
She
to
has
do.
got way bigger things to fry. You've got a much more important job to do, and
That's
yet
outrageous.
you're going after the Palace fans.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, how did they get it in the first place? Because people were asked to take their hats off and look in their pockets. So how did you get a drum in the first place? Why are they having this issue in there when Arsenal had a huge big drum? You could hear it clearly. When, they had this pathetic little drum. They said 70 please. It was never 70 please. It was more like 20, 25. But it was absolutely a ridiculous situation from start to finish. But they took it because they wrote on Twitter today, the police. So they thought there was pyros in there, and it wasn't, and they admitted it wasn't. But then when they went, they got the pyros out anyway. So
yeah, I did like what was it was Pyro for Pros, wasn't it? That's what
those scars show Pyro for Pros. Yeah,
was a large if it looked terrible. Yeah,
it was.
It was dumb.
We've got Ol in here who does post a lot of the Palace memes on Twitter. So if you've seen them, I'd highly recommend you go and follow him. He's joined in here for the first time today. Mate, what's your thoughts on really what's happening with the club at the moment?
I don't know where to start. Right.
Start at the beginning. When it will go wrong.
It all went wrong when I started supporting this club.
Exactly.
It all went wrong. It's I watched the second half because I was asleep during the first half. I wish I slept through the whole game, to be honest. I have no idea what happened. 1 minute we had a corner, the next minute it's in back of our net. I'm a bit annoyed. Watched till the 80th minute, then thought sod this. Went up, but then next thing I know it's 5-0. It's like what?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a mindset thing because we went in there playing 5 at the back to try and keep the goal difference down, but then we ended up losing 5-0 anyway. So I feel like just a change in mindset probably would do us a little bit better because I wouldn't mind losing 5-0 if we actually had a go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I'd still be upset, but I'd be a lot less upset. The fact that we just literally just sat back and said, "Yeah, do what you want."
Did we have a go when we lost 7-0 to Liverpool? I can't remember.
No, that was during COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else looked at the goals. I don't even know if I watched Match of the Day, which is I watched it.
No.
It was quite interesting, and I'll tell you why. Because Arsenal really did a job on us in respect of both goals were come because people are blaming obviously Richards, and quite rightly so, because he was utterly awful for the whole game. And how he managed to get 90 minutes yesterday was incredible. But when he broke down the two moves, the catalyst was actually Schlupp marking Trossard. The reason being is that Palace set up leaving Anderson free to head the ball away. He would be like the commanding bloke in the middle. He head the ball away. So because the trigger was Odegaard. Now Odegaard stands into the box, and then when he leans over and pulls his socks up, that's the sign it's going to be a back post corner. And when he stands up and pulls his leg up, that's a near post corner. So what would happen is when it was a far post corner, when the ball's getting delivered, the first thing Trossard done was left. Schlupp left him. He would then go, not looking at the ball, he would then go and block Anderson straight off. So Anderson couldn't move, and that left Gabriel to go around the outside, obviously completely unchallenged by Richards, to head in. And when he looked at the second goal, exactly the same thing happened again, but this time Schlupp thought, well, I better stop this. And as he was running towards Anderson with Trossard, they both run into Anderson. He was blocked off by his own player. But then by this time, Richards yet again and left his man again and let him run around the back of him. But if you look at the time where they hit the crossbar, exactly the same thing happened again. Richards left his man. Why, from a Hodgson point of view, we could see this. Why can he not see this? And why did he leave him on Gabriel for probably half an hour? Because he was getting corner after corner, and we could all see it. And it's only maybe 5 minutes before half time, they put Gay on him and took him off of him. But how he got 90 minutes, it was the worst 90 minutes performance by a Palace player I have seen for a very long time. Not to get substituted, it was incredible. And how Roy never saw that, and how Paddy never saw that, and how Ray never saw that is baffling. It really is.
Can I make it worse, Chairman? Because
is it possible?
It is possible because I think the way to make it worse is that they did see it and didn't take him off anyway. And I think that is entirely possible because they did move, like you said, they moved Gay on Gabriel. He was getting abused. I felt sorry for Richards. I love Chris Richards. I want him to be a first choice center back for the U.S. national team. I think he's a great player on most occasions, but he was dreadful. He really dreadful against Arsenal. I mean, he had a shocker of a game. So I think it's worse to see that he's getting abused and leave him out there, to just rinse him like that. I think that's worse.
Yeah. I think at the time, we thought at the time watching it live, I think maybe that Roy didn't change it. I think the players, Mark maybe being captain, he changed it himself. But we thought they should have put Richards in the middle and let Anderson go on the outside and just... You know, as a player, surely you can see it when one person is getting done so often by another person. You've got to change it around. They could even, at a corner, put Mateta on him because he's taller.
Maybe, yeah.
But it had to do something.
Yeah.
It had to do something.
I have a question. I know that one of the things that we often go to, and I think it's a really good point, is that we don't have a specialist for set pieces. And
we don't.
It shows. I don't know how many other teams don't, so that was my question. But I think it's apparent that there's no running when we're making our own corners, like running from the top of the box in. That it's mostly small movements, and so you're not getting any momentum.
Can I quickly answer that? Arsenal went to Dubai this week. Obviously, they had 10 days off. We didn't. They went for summer training. And they actually took a specialist set-piece coach with them, and all they worked on in Dubai was set pieces, especially corners. And Match of Day made a real big deal of this fact that this guy was there doing exactly that. Yeah, we never picked... All right, if you could see one goal because you're not ready for it, okay, fair. But 3-4 times the same move? Come on. Someone's got to be seeing what's going on.
Apparently, we don't even have a set piece coach. We've just got a goalkeeper coach who just does it all.
Goalkeeper does the set piece.
The entire Kylie,
I can't I just can't get over Dean Henderson on those set pieces though. Both of them, like, wow.
That was dreadful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, to be fair, Stan, you're absolutely bang on. The first goal shouldn't have been a corner. Henderson should have come out and just cleaned that ball out, and it wouldn't have been a corner, and he wouldn't have had that scenario.
There's been a few times where he's come running out off his line and just into no man's land, didn't he? I think he done it in the Brentford game, didn't he? Came rushing out, finds out when he's outside the box, oh no, that their player's going to get there before me, and he's just sort of stuck in the middle, not doing anything.
His distribution as well is absolutely appalling.
True.
Like
He's
not
known for
so
it
bad.
either.
Was Johnstone, was he injured for the game, or did we just bench him because we wanted to give Henderson a try? Do we know?
Yeah, Johnson was on the bench.
I'm sure Hodgson said that Henderson's now his number one, didn't he?
Yeah, he said he's earned his place
after the Everton game.
Yeah.
So he's going to play Johnstone in the cup, so he could give Henderson a rest for this game. And you know, I feel like after he's had a few, granted, I'd say he's probably a better shot stopper than Johnstone.
Yeah.
But I feel like just as an all round, I feel like Johnstone's just a better keeper.
Yeah, I think Sam is too.
I mean, to be fair with Henderson as well, yesterday there was no outlet, was there? We could see it clearly. Me, Jordan, Rich were just saying it. When the defenders got, and it includes Richard as well, that when the ball was rolled to them, they look up. There was nothing. There was nobody to pass to. There was no one making any space. And really, and that's the same as Henderson. He just had no one to distribute the ball to. And in the end, you just boot it along, and they'd win it every time. And that was the problem: lack of movement.
Yeah.
Playing the three men in midfield didn't work.
My final thing is worrying because we have two goalkeepers, both who are touted to be involved in the England setup. This is the Euro year. Southgate has got to choose his goalkeepers. Pickford most likely one of them from Everton, but now we've got probably picks 2 and 3 most likely. And what's unfortunate is that Henderson probably conceding 5 is going to knock him down the pegging order.
Oh, that's
Ramsdale's
right,
probably going to be number 2.
How long's Pope out for?
He's out for the rest of the season.
ACL, so he's gone.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming. I don't think he'll be ready.
I don't think Henderson's a bad keeper. I just think he had an iffy game yesterday. But generally, he's been pretty decent when he's come in. But I don't think that the way we play is actually helping the goalkeeper. Not help. I mean, you can't. I mean, to be fair, if we say that about Henderson, you've got to say the same thing about Gray and Anderson, who are excellent defenders, but they contributed conceding 5 goals as well. So it's not one person's fault. It's a collective fault.
Just quickly, Bargav with the $4.99 donation. Thank you very much. Here on this channel, we don't ever ask for you guys to donate, but it is very much appreciated. Bargav says, "Big up, thanks for the 3 points. Not gonna lie, worst Palace at Arsenal in years."
Thank you, Bargav. No lies detected.
Nice little backhanded donation there.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll add it to the transfer fund.
I have to go back to the goalkeeper.
Well, we just doubled the transfer budget with that donation alone.
Hey, guys, we're getting Muniz now. There we go.
Maybe. I'm a different than the goalkeepers on that one. The goal the first goal that we conceded, right? I think it was Anderson miscommunicated or something like whatever. As a defender, that's what I learned. I played football in years and stuff. But as a defender, you don't make nobody comes close to your keeper. You make sure you push out your opposite, so your keeper can have a clear vision of what he's going to do. Either he's going to come out or he doesn't. So, so I'm gonna blame the defender on that goal, because he shouldn't allow him to impede Anderson on no account at all.
That's what I was going to say. Was it a case of it was either the first or second goal that Gabriel scored off the header, but was it the case of, because it looked like from the back shot end of the goal that Henderson had enough room to move to actually go get the ball, but he stuck his arm out instead of actually diving to try to make that save.
He didn't have any options. As a defender, you're not supposed to make anyone come close to the 6-yard box. Always, right? You realize if you realize how they react to on their side when we were taking corners, they didn't make anyone come close to their keeper, so the keeper had the room to jump and collect the ball. That's how we get countered on the last goal.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I'd say to that, Sean, as well, is like I actually played in goal when I had any sort of ability and to play football, which is a long time ago now. But the first thing you're taught, or I was taught, is don't sit dead on your line all the time. And this guy, like the defenders like Anderson and Gay, they're so used with Sam Johnson being confident and being able to come off his line, sweep it up, spray it about. And like you get Henderson, like his clearances, my goodness me.
He kicks it. Oh, yeah, the difference is Johnstone kicks it halfway down the pitch, whereas Henderson just kicks it straight off the field.
He needs to change his name to Dean Hennessy. He's that bad, in my opinion.
That's the problem, isn't it? If you got the two goalkeepers and made one goalkeeper, it'd be perfect, shouldn't it? Because Henderson's a great shot stopper, but rubbish with his feet. But Johnson is an okay shot stopper, but brilliant with his feet, and that's where the problem lies, isn't it? What do you do?
Don't you think? I mean, and I'll bring something else up here, but don't you think, come summer, we're selling one of them? Don't you think?
We have to. I think that's why we bought him.
Right.
I think one was going to go.
One's going to go, and it seems less likely that Henderson will be the one that goes, given what we paid for him.
The sunk cost.
Because for FFP purposes, you are going to do much better selling Johnston.
Tim, don't worry about FFP and Palace.
I know. I know, but just like if you were going to do it, like if you're going to sell, you're not going to make your money back on selling Henderson. So I guess you could do it, but it doesn't make much sense unless you really think he is that much of a liability. So if Stan's right, if he's a massive liability, then you get him out. If he's just crap right now and he can get better, then fine. You keep him and you sell Johnston. But I want to bring up a name, see if anybody here has it. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to know this name. Who remembers the name Phil Alexander?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the chief executive, yeah.
Former CEO of Palace. Yeah. Does Palace have a CEO right now?
No, they do, yes.
No, we don't. It's Steve Parish.
That's right.
Steve Parish is the one who's taken that role, although he's not given himself that title. So Phil Alexander was Premier League CEO of the Year at the end of the 21-22 season. And then he retired, or at least he said he was retiring.
He was I think he was exited by the club.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me, Stan, because he was put on a consulting contract, and then he went to do some work for Wickham, and then after that, he just finished an 8-month stint, which I guess he got exited from that too with Bristol City.
Oh, he's gone from there, yeah?
Yeah. So guess who is responsible for selling Alex Scott to Bournemouth? That would be Phil Alexander.
Yeah.
That would be.
Guess who's responsible for selling Antoine Semenyo to Bournemouth?
Yeah, I was going to say Semenyo too.
And he was offered to Palace.
Right. So there is, I think. There's a lot of things that are I fully agree that there's a lot that needs to be changed, and Stan knows well I am not immediately like Parish out because and part of me is just the fear of what I have seen. I don't want to. I'm not an anybody but Parish guy, but I'll tell you this: the way that the team is structured right now it's dead. It has to be redone. So if there isn't a sale outright, and I'm not sure that there will be, I'm interested to see if there would be a sale or somebody coming in to offer more investment. But one thing we could do is replace that role. Like, he was good. Like, we were better run as a club when we actually had a chief executive. We were better
Parish, you bring him back.
Yeah, right. It's Roy 2.0, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm not so sure I'd be against that, Stan. But we need, like, if there wasn't an immediate sale of the club, I'd be all right with that. All right, rant over.
Yeah. You know what, though, Tim? Going back to your point, and I think you raise a good point, but I think a lot of our fan base thinks that if, say, Parish is no more, that we're going to go and become a Charlton or we're going to go and become a Wigan
Yeah, and that's
or a
right.
Reading.
And that's irrational fear. Like that wouldn't
I just
be
don't
right.
think that's going to be the case. We are an established Premier League team.
Yeah.
And we have got a good infrastructure. Which listen, I'm no fan of him at all, but he has presided over that to build a decent enough infrastructure and stabilise us in this league. We can't take that away. But there is someone that will come in. There are people out there that want to take up the opportunity to buy a Premier League football club.
No doubt.
What I mean? We'll end up in League One if we continue with this structure.
Yeah, it's got to change. It's got to change, and somebody will come in. The question is who. So I will admit this right up front, Stan. Like I've become more and more open to the idea that you potentially need a new owner, new investors, but because the current structure does not work. The question is, who is that, and what would we get? Because man, oh man, the number of bad seeds that come in to buy football clubs and drive them into the ground is just, that list is big and it's growing. And
I got a question for Stan and Tim.
Say that again.
I got a question for Stan and Tim. So, because you guys seems to know more about the Palace infrastructure more than me. So, if we were to get rid of everybody and we only can keep one person, who would we keep? And who would we let go?
I mean, go ahead, Alex. What were you saying?
Well, it's obvious it wouldn't be Parish just because he doesn't have the money, but it's between the other three. You're saying, John?
I'm talking about the old narrative, because I would have keep Dougie Friedman and get rid of everybody else, and even the coaching staff. I'm being honest. I would keep Dougie Friedman and get rid of everybody else, and get rid of the coaching staff because they're clearly not doing a good job, as you can see. Because
I've got to say one thing about Parish, and I'm not saying about because he's saying just blah 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 blah, but Parish did put the finances up to buy França. He did put the finances up to buy Hamada. He did put the finances up to buy the academy. Is it his fault the manager doesn't want to play these kids? And that's where the problem is. The kids are there. Rats up don't get a game either. If the manager doesn't want to play them, I don't see how that's Parish's fault.
But I would say it is Parish's fault for getting Hodgson back in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we knew what we was going to get. We know what we're going to get with Hodgson, and I feel like at that point, it's Parish's fault for getting him back in the first place. The second that Hodgson came back in to save us after Vieira, the second he signed that contract, we should have been trying to find someone else. We should have put someone on a contract that they start at the end of the season, but we didn't do that. We just sat still and said, we'll see what happens.
Are you talking about forward planning here, JC? Yeah.
I would like to think about forward planning, but it just doesn't exist at Palace, does it?
It doesn't. I would keep Dougie and get rid of everybody else.
And you know what?
Can I say something in terms of
mate.
what I think would be best? Tim's made this point that it's a venture capitalist, but it's kind of hard to get at it. From my perspective, you need somebody who's willing to make this a vanity project. And what I mean by that is get as close to FFP as you can. Be willing to take on a little bit of debt, because right now, H&B do not want to invest anything until they get money back. That's just, it's their stance. They've made that clear. And Texter has been more willing to offer money without strings attached, it seems. But he's got other clubs, and I don't know if he's too diluted. Somebody who really cares to put their money in and get us as far as they can and not expect the money back immediately, that's who we need.
I mean, I don't know that you need a vanity project, Alex. And
I'm saying it in a different way than you are.
No, I know, and I'm not sure that I want, like, if once you start going down the debt path, you are now getting into the territory of West Brom. I mean, and look at Everton too. I fear for Everton. I'm not an Everton fan, but that 777 deal is, you want to talk about poison chalice. They have now put in I think it's going on 140 or 142 million pounds worth of debt into Everton before there is a deal approved to acquire Everton, approved by the Premier League. Okay. They are getting, I mean, it's like loan sharking. It's like, here, yeah, we'll give you plenty of money. And then you don't know what's coming on the other end. And God help them if they do not get approval from the Premier League for 777 to be the new owner of Everton Football Club,
Tim,
because that debt's going to get called. So,
Tim,
I mean,
what would you call what Bournemouth's doing, though? Like they're taking on a little bit of debt. They're taking chances. It's
that's
not
because
easy.
Bill Foley, as the sole owner, he's the majority owner, and he is a billionaire. He can wipe that out. He can write that off directly in the same way that Tony Bloom can write off debt for Brighton. So I do, like, you would, there's a real good argument for, and I'll give credit to Stan here because he's made this argument. If you came in, I don't think it should be Harrison Blitzer, but if you came in with somebody who was a billionaire, who gave the reins to a CEO who could run the business and run it quite well, and then you got investment, that is a perfectly reasonable model. And I would like to see Steve Parish in that model, because I do think overall, this is why I'm not anybody but Parish. The model that he's trying to build of sustainability is the only one that works. This is why I get so pissed at the, when I get it from top six fans about, which is essentially a know your place kind of argument. This is like face punching comments, because, like, don't tell me that when you're a team that can't get relegated. I know who you are. I know what Arsenal is. They're a great team. You know what else? You can't get relegated. It's not the same thing. You're not in our position.
Hey, can we
Tim,
yeah. Sorry, man.
Yeah.
Well, just quickly, because I've got to jump on an Arsenal stream in a minute, unfortunately. That's the only reason I came back on to mention two things. Number one, if Parish is so invested in this academy and this whole youth project,
yep,
and you've got a manager who's refusing to use the youth, you've got to sack him. Like, it's just that simple. He's going against what you're trying to build.
Yep.
So that's number one. The second thing, and this is just off what you said, Tim, I think Nicky brought it up earlier. For all you teams that are looking at what we did yesterday and saying, why are you doing this? You're entitled. You've been in the Premier League for this year long. You can do one. Because we are not, I don't care. We're not here as Palace fans saying we need to be in the Champions League or the Europa League or winning the league. No. We are here just asking for a little bit of ambition. We are here just asking to just do a bit better each year.
Yeah.
Imagine Arsenal have not won the league for 20 years. There is no way you're going to tell an Arsenal fan, curb your expectations. You've not won the league in 20 years, and they're going to go, you're right, we shouldn't be wanting to win the league. Oh, yeah, we should be grateful we're in the league. They're going to tell you to do one. So please do not. Don't do that. Do not do that. We know the expectations for our club. We are very passionate about our club. Don't do that. Simple.
Yeah,
so I just have to say that.
Video.
Guys, have a good
evening.
evening.
You made that point exactly, and I think we're trying to advocate to neutrals that you don't understand. You just don't. So can we let that 90s kid come in?
Sorry, I was ranting there. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I just noticed that he was in, and I was like, we've been talking for like 10 minutes. Yeah.
I think
it's all good.
I think that what Tim was saying, I'll ask you about the 90s kid, thinking, if there are investors out there, do you think that Palace is actually an attractive prospect to buy? But if I was asked a question, I'd probably say I think it is, for the fact that we're in London and we're so far away from FFP.
Exactly.
They put so much money in.
The attraction is there, London.
Yeah.
There alone. Of course, there must be investors out there, but is it the right investment out there? That's the real question. You've got to be asking yourself, the right investment where you want to invest properly and not put yourself into more deep trouble or more anger to the fans. That's what you've got to ask yourself.
I will say, you look at John Textor, Eagle Football Holdings, he is close to IPO in that company. So he's close to floating it on the stock market. Palace is a lot more. Sorry, his Eagle Football Holdings is worth a lot more money if he has a controlling stake in Crystal Palace as part of his portfolio. I mean, that share price, that initial share price, that will go up significantly, like significantly. And I think shareholders will put money in, and if he was to be fully in charge, I think we would get some. What's it called? We would see the benefit of that. And he is. Listen, people can say what they want about him. The guy I think, has more of a vision than the rest of our owners. He's the one who wants to bring Oliver Glasner in. He would probably bring that guy in. He's the guy who's always said that he probably doesn't understand why it's taken us 6 or 7 years to build this main stand. And I think that the rest of the board probably don't like it because they're being questioned as to why are we so far behind. Honestly, like I said, I'm pretty open to change, and should that be John Textor, I'd be pretty happy myself.
Yeah, I think that the closing out question today would be: are you the board out or changing the board, and are you Hodgson out? So, Sean, I'll start with you.
You already know my thoughts. I already said keep Dougie Freedman and get rid of everybody else.
So everyone, so manager, owners, just keep Husk out, yeah?
Yeah, get rid of everybody, even the coaching staff, because they're not doing a good job. So that's how I see it. And let's keep Dougie Freedman and just start a rebuild. Getting the owner that willing to spend money in progress. Look, I don't care if we finish top 10 or mid-table. I just want a cup run and go for it and win it. That's all I want. I'm not like everybody else that's picky. I want top 7, top 6, top 4. At this point, we gotta be realistic. There are many teams that are better. They're much better than us. It's just the truth. It's just that I want a cup run, a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. I want that feeling that we win something that important. Because me as a fan, I want a FA Cup run. I win it. You know what I mean? I really do. As much as I want to go in Europe and play in Europe, yeah.
Chairman?
I think there's just two things here, the short term and long term. I think getting rid of the board is the hardest thing in the world to do because they've all invested millions into the club and not just going to walk out for nothing. Someone has got to buy them out. And as we've known from 2 administrations, when we've looked for a buyer, we can't find one, and people have stepped in last minute. But definitely, the biggest thing that needs to change for me is their mental attitude. The whole thing, and that stems from the manager. And and I think it's got to be done sooner rather than later. I think Roy's got to go because, as I heard today, Palace have got 21 points from 21 games. Last year, at this point, Leicester had 22 points in 21 games and got relegated comfortably because they left Brendan Johnson in charge for too long. And when they made the change, it was too late. So I think short term, I think you have to change the mentality. And the only way you're going to change the mentality is Roy's got to step down. I don't think you want to sack him. I think he needs to say, why does a 76-year-old bloke actually need his aggravation, really? If he steps down now, he'll still walk out a hero. We'll get somebody else in. He can enjoy the rest of his life, come back to Palace anytime he wants, and be classed as a hero. But short term, I'm sorry, but Roy has to go. Not because he's a bad manager, but we have to change the mentality. The pragmatic defensive approach is not going to work. You're better off losing 2 games and winning 1, and you'll stay up that way, won't it? But if you just go out to draw every game, you'd always end up losing and say, I'm unlucky. And you'll go down. But yeah, I think Roy's got to go. I think the board is fine, but the board needs to come together. And the other thing, quickly say, is Textor. See, the problem with Textor is that he started off at Botafogo, and that was his little plaything, wasn't he? And now he's got rid of them, and they don't want him in there. He's come to Palace with Vieira. That was his little play thing. Now he's moved to Leon, and everything he wants to do is for Leon and for nothing for anybody else. So with Textor, I'm not so sure. But yeah, I think Roy's got to go personally. That's my opinion.
What's your thoughts?
One word. No, 2 words. Roy out. That's pretty much it.
So you're Roy out. What about the board? Do you want Textor out? Do you want Parish out? Do you think there just needs to be a whole restructure, or do you agree with me and think that I'm not mad at the board. I just want them all to come together and actually agree with each other.
Absolutely.
Because there's beef between Textor and Parish, and because Parish is mates with the Yanks, he's basically got a majority share, and Textor's got the other 45%. If they just agreed, they could do whatever they want. I don't think money is really that big of an issue if they all came together. I just think the fact they beef too much is the real issue here.
Oh, we're like a married couple.
Yeah. They're forced to be together because of money.
Yeah. They can't sell the house, can they?
No.
Who wants a cat?
Can't sell the house, can't build the stands. That's all.
That's like, well, we got the cat and the dog.
Yeah. What do you think with the higher ups at the club?
Something needs to change with them. Obviously, it's like I saw an article saying we don't want Graham Potter. I don't know how true it is. I hope it's not true. We don't want Graham Potter because his connections with Brighton. Like, what?
What a load of rubbish.
What a load of crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope that's BS because Glenn Murray.
Yeah, absolutely.
Without Glenn Murray, will we be in the Premier League? I don't think so.
No.
But anyway, something needs to change for the board. I don't care if it's Textor, Parish, or the other two. Something needs to change with them.
Stan?
So definitely Hodgson out, and that should have been done a long time ago. With the board, I honestly I've been saying that our chairman isn't fit for purpose since after the cup final in 2016, and I've been absolutely pounded on Twitter because of it for years and years and years. But one thing I will say, my message I'd say my plea is either change the ownership structure and remove that golden share, or leave. That's what I would say. And give it to someone who can invest some money. So change the ownership structure, remove that golden share of yours, okay, and allow someone to invest some money into this club because we are going backwards, or sell the club and put it out for sale and let someone else come in, or let John Textor buy it. I don't care. But your race is run very, very soon, in my opinion, if you don't change this ownership structure. And you know what? For all his faults and for all my negativity and disagreements on him, it would be a shame because he did save the club and he did stabilize it. But what he's doing at the moment breaks my heart with this club. And that's what I would say. So Roy out, and yes, board out, but maybe sort it out.
Tim?
It's hard to disagree with a lot of that. And I mean, yeah, you've been really consistent on this, Stan. So credit to you on that. I unfortunately, as much as I genuinely respect Roy, it's long past time. It's long past time. There is a need to refresh this team. You can't tell me that performances I've seen earlier in the season with a limited team where we really had to go at home against Liverpool, for example. Now Elise was in that team, but he didn't start in that game, and I think we could fairly argue that we got cheated in that game. So we've had moments during this season where we've shown up. So that to me is down to where we're at as with the management. So it's time. I'm sorry, Roy. I would like to see you resign with some dignity and move on. And let's see if we can get a progressive manager. Maybe, I mean, I doubt that we could get Potter, but that would be okay with me. From the board perspective, I would like them to sort themselves out here. The major problem that I see is that the structure is such that we are not investing consistently. We do invest well from time to time. And on for the amount of money that we spend and the return we get financially from players, we don't make a huge number of mistakes and we get a decent amount of output. So we've done okay. So, and we know from the summer window, there was still money to be spent, but a deal didn't get over the line. So there's still money there. And I don't know why it's not being spent in January. So it's really hard to know. The board is operating, to me, from a position of fear and just, they're fighting each other. So if not for an outright sale and get in somebody who is a benevolent dictator who can be a long-term benefactor for the club, which I don't see happening anytime soon, in lieu of that, sort it out and invest a new CEO with some real power to make good deals, get them over the line, get good contract extensions. I think it's fair to say that for the time that he was at Palace, over the turbulent years that he oversaw Palace, Phil Alexander was a perfectly great chief executive. Let's get that back.
Well said.
Yeah, United's good. What's your thoughts?
Short term, be getting rid of the manager would be the best option, but the board need to give whoever takes the keys from Roy the full back in, like his full on staff. Don't be stubborn and say, "Oh, you got to work with what you've got here." That's what I've seen in the past. Always stubborn with not bringing managers in. Like we all want, most of us sound like we want Potter in. Would he be interested in it? I think he would be, but I think our board will be like, "Yeah, you can come in, but you can't bring your own staff in. You got to work with what you've got here." And that would be the turning point where Potter would probably be out and would be stuck with Cooper, who'd be a yes man and just take whatever he's given, which I don't personally would like.
Yeah.
Long term, need to either get the owners to all agree with each other and get along, or all of them get out and have just one solo owner. Either it's just Texter or Parish or whoever, but one solo owner, or all get along. It's as simple as that. It's pathetic. It's not a soap. It's not EastEnders. They're all bitching at each other. It's stupid.
Yeah, I think everything that is right. I just don't think that Parish will be able to sustain a Premier League club all on his own. I don't think he's got that kind of cash, really. Finally, Tristan, what's your thoughts?
I've got a bit to say about this. So first and foremost, Roy out. Look, if you want my honest view on it, he's done a lot for us in the past. He's kept us up twice, where we looked dead and buried in that. And he's always going to be remembered for that. He's always going to be a legend for that, because if it weren't for him, we would have been relegated 5-6 years ago. As much as I'm not his biggest fan right now, he'll always be remembered for that, and he'll be praised a lot, for that. But going forward, he's not the ideal candidate. I mean, the guy's nearly 100 years of age, for God's sake. So, he should be retired. He should be sitting like a theatre or something, just relaxing or playing golf in his retirement, not managing in the Premier League at the age of 76 or however like age he is right now, to be fair in that. So yeah, to be honest with you, it's best if it goes Cooper in, Potter in. They're the only ones that are out there. Michael Carrick, Jose Mourinho, let's be real, that's never going to happen. I know I thought it could happen, but I don't think he's in the right state to be a manager at a club like Crystal Palace. But let me talk about the board. I've got a fact here. It's an alleged fact, whether this is true or not, but I've been looking into it. Last year in 2023, Palace were the 20th most valued club globally, sitting around about £806 million. So why are we struggling overall to spend money on good quality players in the window? And it's obviously that Parish. It's obvious that Parish is blocking John Textor from putting money in. You see him with John Textor, like you lot were saying, that he's putting his money into Leon, and that's his main focus. And he's still got he's got a 45% share in Crystal Palace, whereas Steve Parish has a 10% share. Like, make it make sense. So John Textor right now cares more about Leon because Parish is blocking him off for putting his money in, and that. Apparently last year he wanted to put £30 million in to Crystal Palace, but was blocked off by Steve Parish. I think this was last January window or something in the summer. Yeah, something around that time. So it's a clear and obvious problem that Parish is the issue, and I've been calling for it. I've been calling, for Parish out for the last year and a half now. Do you know what I mean? So I'm obviously my thoughts on Parish. I don't like the bloke. I've got a massive vendetta to be honest, against him, for what he's done over the last 2 years. But overall, it's been for the last 10 years too much up and down and that. And it's just been 10 years of failure because he's just been, he's been blocking millionaires into investing in Crystal Palace. Now, if you want my thoughts on John Textor, I wouldn't mind him in charge of Crystal Palace. He's clearly, in the past, in a few recent windows over the last couple of years, he's showing interest. He's put money in before. Remember the summer of 2021 where he maybe I'd say potentially 90 to 100 million pounds, and we got the likes of Elise, Gay, Anderson, Will Hughes, you've got Edward and that as well. Got Gallagher on loan. We know he's capable of putting this money in, and we can get good quality players out of it.
Yeah,
but he's been trying to put
he cleared all our COVID debt as well.
Exactly. So I wouldn't mind John Textor in charge. I can't think of anyone else. The Saudis aren't going to take over us after what the HS stupidly put up at in some of the matches. So he's the only option I'd say we got, to be honest with you. I think Parish is he's sinking us, man. He's taking this club down. He's saying he wants to take us to the next level, but he's the one taking us backwards. It's not Textor. It technically isn't Roy Hodgson and all the players. It's Steve Parish. And he's the big problem. He's an embarrassment. He's an absolute embarrassment. He's a narcissist. He cares more about his stinking ego. I mean, he's always on podcasts every flipping week, mouthing off about the same old bollocks. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't care anymore. Guy's an embarrassment to football. He's delusional. And he's making zero efforts into changing this horror show at Crystal Palace. He hardly communicates to the supporters. I look at other chairmen, they communicate to their fans. This guy currently, this isn't the past anymore. Fuck the past. This is the future. He currently isn't. He's not saying anything to the supporters. He's a coward. He's hiding behind the likes of Dougie Freeman, John Textor, and Mark Bright because he simply is a coward. He hasn't got the balls in the bottle to come out and speak openly towards the fans about our current situation. You know what I mean? Whereas Textor's come out saying he wants to set up. No shit, he wants to set up because he got what the main man in charge, Steve Parish. Unfortunately, he's blocking him from putting his money into the club. That's the problem, and that's the big picture at Palace right now. Parish, he's the issue, he's the problem. So of course, my thoughts on Parish, but that's it really.
Before I jump in with my opinion, Tim, have you got something to say? Because you put something in the chat.
We're not worth that much. I mean, I think that's from the Deloitte report, Tristan, and there's no way we're worth quite that much. It would be nice if we were, but we're not. Well. And that's fine. Like, we don't have to be worth that much. I would say Textor sells a great story. And I'm only speaking about this because I've looked at all the filings. That guy makes me very, very, very nervous. For reasons that have more to do with the financials. He has nowhere near as much money as he makes out to be. Nowhere near it. And if he were in charge and he did buy everything, he might do something. If he didn't float Eagle football on the New York Stock Exchange, which he could do, he might. And that would be one way to raise money. And he gets to do that once, unless he sells it again through what's called a secondary offering. But he doesn't really have that much more money than Steve Parish does. He did put in that 30 million, and we did use that 30 million during the summer for the transfers on Franta and on Henderson. So that money was supposed to be in the winter window, and it was supposed to be for Gallagher. and we just didn't spend it on Gallagher. But the thing that is verifiable about Texter is that he's ambitious. My worry, kind of similar to what Chairman said, JC, is that there is a very fine line between ambitious and reckless. And I think he is showing himself recently to be incredibly reckless. He went all in and decided to take on the French, for reasons that pass understanding to me, the French financial authority in football. Why? Why would you do that? I don't understand. So anyway, I should stop. I get it. He's clearly very ambitious, and I think he would like to have a plum asset like Crystal Palace. I think he would have loved it, and I can understand his level of regret at not taking over the majority stake in the club, but he chose not to do that, and here we are. But yeah, there is a scenario where we get to well over 600 million pounds in valuation. It is improving the entire club, including the performances on the pitch.
Definitely. I think for me, I would have to say Hodgson out, but I want everyone to know that I would still like Hodgson to be remembered as a legend of the club, just as Tristan said, because he has saved us before. He saved us what? And the first time he came to rectify De Boer's mess up, and then to rectify Vieira's mess up. But I want to blame most of it on Parish for even wanting to sign him again for another year.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for Hodgson because
I think that's fair.
I don't know if it is his fault to an extent, but you have to know that with Hodgson, you know what you're going to get. And I feel like Hodgson shouldn't have been in the job in the first place. I think he's way too old. I think that he's probably old age is catching up to him. You just see his press conferences and he's gone downhill mentally. I don't think he really needs the stress. Like, he could just be doing so much better with his life at the moment. But like I said, I just want Parish, Texter, Blitzer, and Harris just work together. You don't have to be friends. You just have to work together, communicate, and agree on something. Because if you agree, stuff can happen. And, they all signed the contract. They all want to help this one club. They've all got a common interest. Why are they fighting against each other?
Yeah.
It starts from the top and it goes all the way down onto the pitch.
It's a great question. Yeah.
But guys, thank you very, very much for watching. It's been a pretty long stream, to be fair, compared to what we're usually here for. But like we said at the start, this show is just for you guys. And I feel like we got some good thoughts and opinions on it for everyone. Just before we round out, we're obviously going to go around to everyone so they can shout themselves out before we round up. So, Sean, shout yourself out, mate.
Yes. I'm Sean. Nice to meet you all. Yeah, I don't really got much to say. Otherwise, I'm a very private guy, so I don't really like fans hustling my account. So nice to meet you guys, and that's it.
Nice. Tim, we know you have a little finance show.
Yeah, if you want to hear more about the work that I do, I cover business, stock market investing. I'm hoping to do a little football finance from time to time on the show. We're going to hopefully cover some more of that soon, but the best place to find me is on a podcast called Motley Fool Money. And you'll hear me talking about stocks on there. So if you want to learn a little bit more about what to do with your money, I will be on there from time to time. It's a pretty good show. We try to make it accessible.
I'm on Twitter, Over There on Twitter. I also have a YouTube channel where I upload the videos on there as well, which is also Over There. So go there.
Yeah, I have you posted your Arsenal video yet?
I'd rather not.
All right, fair enough. 90s kid.
I'm that 90s kid. Been on here before, but I mostly post on Twitter and post videos occasionally on YouTube, posting my feelings and emotions towards this lovely, lovely football club. But yeah, catch me on there and as well on here.
And finally, the most famous guy in the stream, Tristan03.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Go and subscribe to my channel, check out my vlog, and yeah, tough times being a Palace fan. I literally, I don't even know what to say anymore. I say the same stuff week in, week out. It just does my head in, but hoping for brighter days, and we need to act quick and make changes sooner rather than later. So, yeah, you'll see the whole thing yesterday, the Arsenal match from minute 1 to minute 90. So, yeah, if you're interested, if you want to see what went down with the protests, with the fan reactions or whatever, go and check it out. See you lot.
Oh. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get notifications 30 minutes before a stream goes live and when the actual stream goes live, or a video or a short or whatever we do on the channel. But guys, from all of us and Eagle Eye Football, thank you very much for watching. And even though we don't want to say it, as always, up the Palace.
Up the Palace.
Eagles!
Eagles!